Hello, everyone. My name is Marilyn Posick, as you can see here on my YouTube video, and I am reactivating my YouTube video because I have some important messages to bring to you. For those of you that don't know me, I am an intuitive angel messenger, a psychic, a medium, an author of 4 books, and a spiritual teacher. But I'm not here today to talk to you about all the spirituality. That was in my previous videos and my new videos to come. Today, I'm talking to you about more of a human element that people need to be aware of and taking action with immediately. Are you prepared? Are you prepared in the event of an emergency? I know from previous times in my life and being an x-ray technician for over 20 years, I know how quickly life can turn upon you. If COVID didn't teach us anything else, it was to expect the unexpected. Am I right? Who would have thought? I have an adopted mother who's 92 years old now, and she has never lived through anything like this at all. So if she hasn't, and how many more people older than her have, I don't think many, if any. COVID did teach us to expect the unexpected. I am not here to talk politics, to talk about any of that. I just know how quickly your life can be turned around without you even knowing it. Being an x-ray technician, working in side by side with the emergency room for so many years, it doesn't take a disease to turn your life around like that. One car accident, one motorcycle accident, an airplane, boat, train, whatever, a fire, a hurricane, or tornado. Your life can be turned around just like that. Are you prepared? People, I can't stress this enough. The only thing in life that we're guaranteed of is once we're conceived, one day we're going to go home. I don't like to say that we're going to die because it's our physical body that dies. Our soul and spirit remains alive. But I guarantee you, and so many people avoid this subject of death. Why? I have no idea. It's as much a reality as life is. So prepare yourself, folks. I'm not here to promote my readings. I do readings, I do classes. Not even here to prepare or promote my books. But I do want to share with you the very first book I wrote, Last Soul Standing, Surviving My Last Surviving Relative. And that is still true today. I had one sibling, a brother, who in the early 90s was diagnosed with AIDS. We have no idea how or where he contracted it, but it doesn't matter. It happened. He wasn't gay, he wasn't a drug user. He did live in Kansas City. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, so there was the difference. But we talked a lot. It was way before these Zoom videos, YouTube, all this stuff, computers even. I don't know, maybe computers was there for a bit, but we did talk a lot. And this poor kid suffered. He suffered a lot. And I asked him, what do you want? Now, because he did have a daughter, he wanted to be, when they said, like, this is it, he wanted to be on life support for 2 weeks to see if all of a sudden a miracle happens, that there is a cure. Because back then, you got AIDS, you were going to die. It's not that way anymore. I know that, thank goodness, but that's the way it was back then. I didn't have anything to do with his will or his, what do you call it, his will or trust. Okay. He was married, so that was between him and his wife. but he was put on life support because that was his wish. What is your wish? There are so many companies out there that will help you out in many ways. In my book, Last Soul Standing, I do have a reference guide in the back of the book for some of the things that helped me during my mom's stroke. Let me go back a minute. My brother died of AIDS. He passed in 1995. In the early 2000s, my father developed Alzheimer's. Broke my heart, people. My father was always a strong person. He served in the army. He did shoot guns. He went hunting. He kept going back to school to better himself and get a better position with the city that we lived in. He was like our stronghold, even though mom did rule the roost. Um, and to watch this guy deteriorate with Alzheimer's and turn into a little child, he was a relatively big guy. I mean, under 6 foot, over 200 pounds. So not huge, but he wasn't small by any means. And to watch him deteriorate before my eyes, before all of our eyes, and to watch and experience my mom after 50 some years of marriage trying to cope with this broke my heart, people. Just broke my heart. However, I will say, and I'm not being heartless here, I will say that his death wasn't as devastating to me as my brother's or my mother's that I will talk about in just a minute. Probably because Alzheimer's is a slow killing disease, so to speak. And it's not ever the Alzheimer's that is the final cause for deterioration, yes, but not for death. He ultimately died of a heart attack. Then my mom, unexpectedly in a casino, June 12th, 2009, I had this funny feeling. Now remember, I am an intuitive, right? I had this funny feeling to go look for my mom in the casino. She loved the casinos. It's like we might sit in the room, have one drink, boom, she was off, had to go play her games. And I just kind of, hung around, and I was hovering around a blackjack table. I'm not a huge gambler. I mean, I will, but I'm not, it's not something that I'm addicted to by any means. Um, I was hovering around this blackjack table, and all of a sudden I got that funny feeling, go look for your mom. And I heard this little voice that I pay attention to 24/7 because I work with 100,000 angels that said, look to your left. Boom, there she was on the floor with all the paramedics around her. And that was the only thing that preserved her life for a while longer. Because if you're going to have an accident, a heart attack, or anything, do it in a casino because they've got all the medical personnel on on hand right then and there. She was airevacted to a hospital, and she lived from June until November. So 4 months, 5 months. After that, 5 months. Okay. Um, that whole time, even though I sort of dealt with my brother, I definitely dealt with my father. The whole time that she lived, people, I was in a battle for her life and doing what was best for her. Do you know that everything here in the United States is dictated by the insurance companies? They tell you what drugs you can take, what procedures you can have, what you can't have, how long you can stay in an assisted living place. It's all dictated by that. Did you know that? Are you prepared ahead of time? Do your loved ones know your wishes, your desires? Luckily, before we put my dad in the Alzheimer's unit at the VA hospital here in Phoenix, Arizona, the guy that gave us the tour asked us if we had a will. if we had a trust. And he said, I highly advise you going to see an attorney to get that in place before you place him. Because people, the system will eat you up financially. He explained it to us. We did go see an attorney. Mom was able to preserve her assets through a period of time. It doesn't happen overnight, it has to be done legally. So I would highly advise seeking an attorney. In my book, I do have a reference guide here in the back that listed the attorney that helped me with my mom. The other thing I want to tell you too that I listed here in my book, if you're a veteran or a spouse of a veteran and all the insurance is run out, so you're totally on self-pay, you have financial assistance available to you. You can go to an attorney and ask for their help. They will charge you, and it can take you up to a year or two to get that assistance. I was introduced to this guy that was able to help me at no charge, and he was able to get my mom approved within 6 weeks. People, if you're not familiar with being in a long-term care home, it can cost, unless you're on Altex or Access, whatever your state provides, Medicaid, whatever that might be, it can cost anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000, maybe even higher, dollars a month. It all depends what facility you went and how you are financially. The reason I'm talking to you about all this right now is I have a dear friend. I've known her for about 6, 7 years now. I've lost all my family members, and I don't have a significant other. I didn't have children, so I'm all alone, especially on the holidays. Kind of gets to me. So I've spent the last 6 years or so with her and her mom, who is now my adopted mom. My friend, very strong, very healthy. She believes a lot like I do in all natural medicine. Now, I did work in the medical field, Western medicine, as I mentioned, for over 20 years. I have been working in the spiritual realm now for well over 20 years. Anything I can do naturally to help myself, I'm going to do it before I take prescription medication, before I go see a doctor. But I'm not saying to get off your medication, and I'm not saying to go see your doctor. I do see a doctor once a year. My friend was very, very stubborn and very controlling and would have nothing to do with Western medicine. She became ill. She started getting sick, even though her mother disagrees with me on this. I believe she started getting sick over a year ago around Thanksgiving, maybe if not sooner. And after the year, she started getting worse. She started having pains. They were able to take a family trip together, which is fine. But after that, folks, she started going downhill, but she wouldn't do anything about it. Finally, I believe it was in April, maybe May. I'm going to say maybe April, May. She started seeing an acupuncturist. And she also saw my friend who does lymphatic massages, drains your lymphatic glands. And if you don't have that done, I highly advise having that done, because we all get stuff stuck in there and we got to have somebody help release that stuff, right? So she started seeing both of them, but she got worse. Unbeknownst to me, both of them told her she needed to go see a Western medicine doctor. I call her up one day. I had that funny feeling in the pit of my stomach. And I said, how are you doing? She sounded horrible, folks, horrible. And she says, well, would you come up and spend the night with me and take me to the emergency room in the morning? This was on a Sunday. I said, no, I'm coming up now and I'm going to take you to the emergency room now. She didn't want to go on a Sunday because she thought it would be busy. Guess what, people? There is absolutely no prediction. Busy time, slow time for emergency room. It's kind of a flip of the coin, and hopefully you get the best, right? So I went up and got her. By the time I got her, she was so weak she couldn't even take a shower, but insisted on taking a shower anyway. I will be doing another YouTube video on are you controlling? Anyway, we got the shower. I got her to the emergency room, did all the tests to find out she had multiple blood clots in her lungs, in her legs, everywhere. Her right lung was full of fluid. Her left lung was starting to fill up. And as the ER doctor put it, she was riddled with cancer. That was 4 weeks ago. I did go on a vacation for about 10 days. By the time I got back, she was back in the hospital. She got out, went back home, got bad again, went back in the hospital. And I went to see her in the hospital. People, with all my years of personal as well as professional experience, I have never, ever seen anybody deteriorate so fast. This is the reason I'm saying to you, are you prepared? Don't think it can't happen to you, because my friend thought she was invincible. Because her mother is 92 years old, she does have longevity in her life. She thought she was going to live forever. I just got the phone call yesterday. It's now a question of days. Luckily, she did take my advice years ago and went and saw the attorney that I recommend and did get everything lined up ahead of time, as her mom did. Okay, but nothing can prepare you for what she's going through, for what my brother went through, my father, my mother. So please do yourself a favor. Most importantly, do your loved ones a favor and get your affairs in order now. I cannot stress that enough, people. In my book, Last Soul Standing, whether you get this book or another book or talk to an attorney, find out what your best options are. But first, people, know what you want. First of all, do you have a will? Do you have a trust? I'm not sure the difference between the two. I'm not an attorney. I cannot help you with that. Get an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, there is a company called Legal Shield that you can sign up with, and they can help you with that. But get that in order, even if you don't have much. If you don't have this in place, and if you have surviving loved ones, everything can go into probate. So especially if you have a lot of assets, a lot of money, you want to make sure that they're protected. Next, do you want to be resuscitated? If you don't, and by resuscitation, I mean on life support. And if you want to be on life support, for how long? If you don't, you absolutely need what they call a DNR, do not resuscitate. Here in the state of Arizona, it has to be on an orange piece of paper, and you have to produce that to them as soon as something happens. And like in my mom's case, the last thing we thought about was her having a stroke in a casino. We were there with another couple to celebrate the guy's birthday. A stroke was the farthest thing from our mind. If she was having any symptoms, she didn't share it with me. Boom, on the floor. Boom, in the helicopter. Boom, emergency room. I did tell them she had a DNR. They said, well, that's okay. You can bring it in tomorrow. The next day I went back with the DNR and they had already put a feeding tube down her. I said, who authorized that? I had power of attorney. Who authorized that? She did. She's out of it, folks. This is what I'm telling you. Here in the United States, our medical system will do whatever they want until you protest. And you have every right to protest. My mother was 87 years old on absolutely no medication. She was in perfect health, no high blood pressure, no diabetes, no heart, no nothing. Within one day, people, not only did they put a feeding tube down her throat, actually it was her nose, I believe, but she was on 13 medications. Now that in itself, people, is going to kill you if you're not used to taking prescription medications. It took me a couple of days to find this out, and luckily I do have medical knowledge. Said I want to know what she's on, and then I question, why is she on this? Why is she on that? And so on and so forth. And you have every right to do that, folks. Don't let them put you off. And this was 13 years ago, and the medical system has gotten even worse. What my friend is going through, it's just crazy. I talk to my hairdresser. She tells me these horror stories all the time. Stand up, do your research ahead of time. The other thing, do you want to be buried? Do you want to be cremated? There's many, many companies out there that will cremate you for free. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars to be buried, to be cremated. To be buried, probably yes. To be cremated, no. My mom and I found out about this company. It's located all over the United States. It's called Science Care. The two things that they require is that you agree to be cremated and that they can use any body parts, either for a transplant or for research. And I was very impressed with them because I asked the guy, could you please, when it's my dad's time, take his brain and do research, because I know that's what he would want. And if it would help make any kind of a breakthrough with Alzheimer's, I know my dad would be grateful. This guy got back to me in a couple days, maybe it's a week, I don't remember, that was very long ago. I can't remember yesterday, let alone today, right? And he called me up, I do remember this, and he says, I found one of our labs in California that will take his brain. And I go, thank you. I have referred this company to many other people, and I've yet to hear one complaint. However, if you don't want to be an organ donator, if you don't want to be cremated, this isn't for you. Also, make your wishes known to your loved ones. Like, do you want a church ceremony? Will you want a celebration in light? Do you have a special place to have it? Do you want a big party afterwards? Do you not want anybody around? Make your desires and wishes known ahead of time. It will be so much easier on the ones that you leave behind. Also, let your loved ones know, whoever that might be, and make sure it's more than one, because again, life isn't promised, people, and it can change in a heartbeat. So where are your important documents? You know, where's your will, that trust? Where is your other important documents? Perhaps the deed to your home, the lease to your home, your car, registration, title. What about your passwords and usernames? What about your bank accounts? You can get somebody to be a signee on your bank accounts. You can also get somebody to be paid on death. Upon your death, they automatically get your money. So get prepared, people. Do it ahead of time, because when a tragedy does happen, you're in no frame of mind. Whether you're that person, like my friend, uh, she really, after the first, I'm going to say 2 weeks, hasn't been in the right frame of mind at all, even though she's still trying to stay in charge, bless her heart. You're in no frame of mind when you're that sick. Your loved ones that are going through this with you are in no frame of mind because they're trying to do everything in their power to help you. So please, people, do yourself a favor and be prepared. Find yourself a book, either like mine, Last Soul Standing. There's other books out there. Call attorneys, perhaps they have handouts. Get a hold of somebody that you know that if they are a veteran or a spouse of a veteran and they need help, they need financial aid, find somebody to help you with that. The first attorney I saw wanted to charge $4,000 for that service and told me it could take a year to year and a half. That wasn't going to happen because they didn't think my mom would live 2 days, let alone 5 months. I can't wait a year and a half. And the other thing I want to close here with, if you or a loved one ever get in a situation where you have to be in some kind of assisted living long term, the insurance will not pay after 100 days. Fine, you say that's 3 months. By then, they'll either be dead, we'll have another place in mind, or she'll be back home. They'll be back home. They'll start kicking you out before that. My mom had the best of the best insurance, and after a couple of weeks, they started to try to kick her out. I said, why? And I have found this out ahead of time. If you go into a place where you need assistance and they don't continually improve, they'll kick them out. My mom was improving. She was having speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy. She was improving. They told me she wasn't improving. So I got the doctor involved and I threatened a lawsuit. So I got her extended for a while. Her insurance did cover her 100 days. They wouldn't keep her 100 days. And personally, people, I just got tired of fighting the system. As I said, I fought the system every day for 5 months. I don't want you to have to fight the system, but if you do, I want you to be prepared ahead of time. I hope this helps you. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you. I am a medium. If you do have a loved one that you would like to connect with, I'd be happy to help you with that. And stay tuned to my next new YouTube video coming up, Healing with Your Angels and Natural Ways. Have a great day, everyone.